Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. We are talking today about 10 hurdles you may face in winning your fights. Now, I know many people, because this is a lone sport, a solo sport, many people probably feel as things are happening and going wrong in their fight camp or their prep that, oh my gosh, this is unique to me and there's something wrong with me. You feel alone. But the truth is, you're not. And everything I'm going to tell you guys today, the 10 things that are hurdles that you may face, I have experienced those before. So I'm going to take you through, first of all, what they are and then how to overcome them. So in your next fight, you have more chance of getting that win. This is absolutely a very important episode for anybody out there who competes or is thinking about competing or very simply has no interest in competing but wants to help others who are thinking of getting in the ring or the cage. So you picked a great episode to tune in for. Before we get to all the points, I want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this episode, By Optimizers. These guys, I'm actually going to talk about the magnesium product many times in this episode, very simply because it relates to so many things in my last camp. And many of the hurdles that I've had in the past, I felt like I solved them and I only did a couple things different. One was using magnesium, a new supplement in my training camp, and it solved a number of things for me. If this is something you guys are interested, and I strongly recommend that you get interested in it, but if you want to buy this product, you can head over to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Gabriel, use the promo code Gabriel10 to get 10% off. And I don't really need to talk to you anymore right now about this product because throughout the episode, you're gonna see just why it was so important in my last training camp. So the very first hurdle that you may face in winning your fight is obviously your opponent's skills. The opponent is one of the biggest hurdles you're gonna face. If you get in there and they're better than you, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose. There are ways to beat people who are better than you, but it is always better or easier to be the person with more skills. How do we go about getting more skills? What are my tips? What throughout the years, or actually decades now, of training, have I noticed that has helped me the most and has made a difference in my fights so I can get that win against my opponents? The big thing that I would suggest to everybody out there, which I did as well, is don't just focus on the shadow boxing, the pad work, the bag work, the sparring, the skipping. I mean, those are all integral parts of training camp, but none of those are really helping you get better in the way you need to improve your skill level so you are the most skilled guy when you step in the ring. How do we go about being the more skilled person? Well, we actually take time to practice new techniques. Practice combinations. We get into the gym and instead of just, throw, we maybe practice something like I throw the jab. My partner comes back with a hook. I block it. I throw a combo. He throws back at me. I roll. We do things like that, which are really going to help you improve your skill level instead of just always maxing out on the bag or the pads. We really fine tune our skill set. You also need to make sure, as I mentioned, that you are learning new things. So if you're going into the gym and you're never learning, that's no good. Watch other fighters. If you notice something and you go, "Whew, I don't do that," go to the gym, drill, and see if it's something that you want to add to your technical collection. Because the more you have, the higher that skill level is going to be when you step into fight. The second hurdle that can really break people down, and I've faced this before, is nerves, fear. All of that can add up so much that even if you're the higher skilled guy and you're facing somebody who's down here, but you're so nervous that all of a sudden your skills get dragged down, you can lose against people who are far worse than you in the gym. Nerves can destroy fighters. They can change the outcome of the fight very easy. How do we overcome fear and nerves? Well, the first thing that I have learned throughout the years, early in my career, when I got scared, I would just go, oh, I'm not gonna deal with it. I'm not gonna deal with it. And I just kept doing that over and over and over through camp until it was fight time. And then I would be so scared. Like I wouldn't even wanna go out to the ring. Now, what I do is every time I have a little bit of fear, I get those butterflies in my stomach. I close my eyes, I think, what is scaring me? Why am I feeling these butterflies now? Is it my opponent? Is it the crowd? There's so many things it can be, and I focus on that. I visualize what scares me, and I face my fear. And for me, this has been the big difference. So now when I step in the ring, I feel confident. And yes, I'm still nervous, but it's not that panic set of nerves. It's more a controlled set of fear and nerves, which I can handle and allows me to perform so I can still get those wins. Next up, we are talking about the weight cut. You know, going from there to there, and just people getting so drained by dropping too much weight. Now, the weight cut is not something I can go into too much detail in terms of knowing your guys' body size versus my body size. But I actually already have a video, a full tutorial, which you can follow along with, which will tell you exactly how I go about cutting weight. But the main thing that I have learned throughout the years about weight cutting is you need to do what's right for you. Coaches will sometimes tell you how to cut weight, but it's the way that they did it. It was their preferred method. And maybe we're not just talking about even cutting water weight, it could be the whole diet routine. I used to have people tell me for a whole week before the fight, all I should eat is peanut butter and spinach. And I did that and I was absolutely miserable. And then I changed it up. I started adding a few other things and then a few more, and I figured out ways to make things fun. And now overall, my weight cut is so much better in terms of how do I drain the water weight off? There's sauna, there's baths, there's going for runs. There's so many ways. You guys need to test out the different versions and see what works best for you. I prefer runs. Many people don't like doing that the day before fighting, putting on a sauna suit and heading out and running down the road. But for me, it's what works best. I've almost passed out before in the tub. Hate it. Absolutely hate going in the hot tub, or not a hot tub, but a bath that's crazy hot. And saunas, I just get so dizzy. So it's like, why am I going to do those? I do what works best for me. This will help you get those wins and not lose because you are so exhausted from your weight cut. The next thing that can absolutely wreck you and is a massive hurdle is cardio. You can be the far more skilled fighter, but not having that cardio means you're gonna lose. I mean, this statement that just popped into my head, which is not 100% true, does actually, like, it makes some sense. Cardio is king. My buddy used to tell me that. Cardio is king. And there's a very valid point there. If you do not have the cardio to match your opponent or to go the full fight, it doesn't matter how good you are, you're gonna get run down and then your opponent's gonna take over. So pushing that cardio is so essential. Fortunately for everybody on the channel, you don't need to go very far to find that information. It's all right here. I'm gonna put up my favorite sprint routine right there. I'm gonna link it. It's an older video. It's not the best video ever, but I enjoyed making it. It was fun. I tried to add some flair, some music, give you guys some B-roll, and it has all the information you need to really pump up that cardio. There are many other videos I have as well. If you just search on my channel for cardio, you will find what you need to know. Push the cardio. It is a hurdle because most people don't want to do it. They don't want to put the time in. They don't want to go through the pain. But if you go through it, you will definitely be able to make it the whole fight and most likely out-cardio your opponent. Cardio is king. Next up, we are talking about sleep. Now, there's a couple different ways to look at this. It could be number one, just, in training camp, getting the rest you need. And it could be number two, jet lag. Jet lag has smashed me a couple times. I was just talking to somebody recently, high-level fighter, and they were saying, I just got wrecked doing the trip and my legs felt like they were wobbly under me and I couldn't get my body going. So it's not just me who struggled, many people do. So let's talk about sleep for a moment because it is a hurdle in the fact that that is your recovery time. If you are missing out on your sleep, you're not going to recover as fast. When you don't recover as fast, your training sessions are going to be mediocre and then you're not going to perform the way you want in the fight. How have I gone about improving? Number one, my sleep at home, and number 2, the jet lag situation which arises. Now granted, in my last fight, I only went to Florida. We're only talking about a 3-hour time difference, so the jet lag there is not insane. I will experiment more in the future if I can sort out this jet lag situation when we go over to Asia or Europe. But for sleeping at night, the key, for me, the big difference has been what I said we were going to talk about, magnesium. I am taking the Bioptimizer's product 2 times a day. I stay on this during fight camp, and it's made a world of difference. For now, I can actually put my head down on the pillow, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm out. And then I sleep through most of the night. Very often in the past, I would wake up 6 or 7 times per night. So this magnesium is helping me have better sleep, which means I'm feeling more recovered and less burnt down in my training camp. The next major hurdle which you are going to face, and this is a very important one, this is something that a lot of people will not recognize, is you need to be well-rounded. If you're not well-rounded, you're going to struggle, because at some point, let's say you are a spectacular boxer. You're from a sort of Dutch style gym where they just have crazy good hands, but they don't focus on the clinch. Eventually somebody's going to get you in the clinch and they're going to ragdoll you and knee you to death. Or you're a really good Muay Thai fighter. You're from a Muay Thai gym. You're blocking those kicks like this. You're able to smash that shin into people's arms, but eventually you're going to end up against somebody who's really good at that cross block and countering you and pressuring you. If you go to a gym that focuses more on one style than the other, or only strictly does one style and completely disregards the other, you are going to be falling behind. You need to be well-rounded. If your coach is not going to take the time to teach you all the different styles of kickboxing and Muay Thai, or if it's MMA, all the other possible striking styles, adding in Taekwondo and Karate, you want to put them all together to be the strongest fighter, you have to take it upon yourself to watch other people and try and incorporate techniques offensively and defensively on your own. This is only going to make you stronger, and not doing it will 100% be a hurdle in your winning fights in the future. The next major hurdle for many people, it wasn't too much for myself. I did have days where fatigue would take over my body and I just didn't want to train. But it hasn't happened loads and loads. But I've talked to many people who struggle with that so much. They go, oh, my body's just feeling so fried and I just don't want to train. And this is happening to me once or twice every week during training camp. For me, it more happens once or twice during the whole training camp. But it's because I have that willpower to push through the fatigue. How did I deal with the fatigue in the last training camp? What did I do differently than other training camps? Because I was just not burning down the same way. And I was actually having to tell my pad holders, push me harder, I'm not fatiguing in these 20-minute pad work sessions. So, number 1, ice baths or contrast showers where you go from cold to hot, cold to hot. I was doing those quite frequently and I think they help a lot. In addition, again, we're back to magnesium from Bioptimizers. I added this for the first time ever. And like I said, I've already in the past utilized cold baths and making sure that I was getting, the lactic acid out of my body, but it was never really helping in the sense that I felt fantastic through all of camp. But adding the magnesium is something, maybe the 2 of them combined made the difference, but I was feeling good, so good in that last training camp, and I'm going to be continuing to incorporate magnesium in my next training camp, which will hopefully be coming up quite soon. Again, if you guys want to get on this product, give it a try. I would suggest you head out or over to magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Gabriel, use the promo code Gabriel10, and when you get there, pick up 1, but probably better 3 bottles so you can really take a full amount of time to test out and see if these supplements are helping you as much as they have helped me. And always keep in mind that the fatigue sometimes is telling you to take a small break, or you're training too long or too hard. Listen to your body. I've gotten better at that as I've got a little bit older. I still push very hard, but if I recognize that in the middle of a training session my body's just not happy, I'll pull back just 10%. Not stop, but just pull back. That's what I've learned. Scale down the intensity or the volume so that you can train hard the next day. The next hurdle you're going to face is injuries in camp. You get an injury, because of that injury, you have to take time off. You take time off, your skill level drops, your cardio drops, you get into the ring, you should be at this skill level, but now you're down here, and maybe you can't get the win, simply because the injury slowed up your training and your performance was not as good as it should have been. How have I gone about avoiding injuries nowadays? Number one, find training partners who are not ridiculous. Some people are so much more prone to injuring you because they're wild. They're swinging. They don't have control. They're too big for you. So you have to be smart about who you actually train with. And I know for many people that is not something that you can control all the time, but do your best. Number two, in avoiding injuries, make sure you're on things like the foam roller. Roll out your body, stretch. So many people neglect the stretching and the foam rolling. I was really diligent in my last camp about taking 5 or 10 minutes at the end of each session and at the beginning as well. And it just makes a world of difference. I just feel so much looser and those injuries don't pile on me all the time. Also, the things that I just mentioned in the last point about fatigue, the ice baths, and the magnesium, both of those are going to help you deal with the injuries. You're going to recover faster, and that's what you need, because sometimes small injuries can be avoided turning into big injuries. If you leave them and you don't do the magnesium, you don't do the ice baths, all of a sudden you can end up with a massive injury. So everything I said about this point is so important. Be sure to train smart and avoid those injuries. The next major hurdle that many people face in fight camp is sticking to your diet. If you don't stick to your diet, number one, you're going to struggle on your weight cut, which we already talked about. But number two, you're not fueling your body with the proper nutrition you need. I'm going to give you guys an example. I've already been guilt tripped this week by pretty much everybody in my family because I'm usually so on point with my diet. But my wife was out of town and I went, you know what? It's been a while since I've gone and had like a naughty treat, something bad, something which I almost never have. I went to the store looking like, oh, I'm gonna have something. My wife's out of town, gonna just spoil myself this weekend. And they had Haagen-Dazs ice cream bars on sale. And there were 4 tiny little ones in a package. So it was, I don't know, something like 50 milliliters per bar, something like that. Just little guys. And I ate all 4 of them over the weekend. 2 in one night, and the next day I had one, and then the next morning, afternoon, when I was doing some painting, I had one as well. Anyway, the point is, after that, a couple days after, my brother and I went out running, and I felt so destroyed. I don't know what was happening. Like, my legs are so heavy, my upper body feels fatigued, and I hadn't trained over the weekend really hard or anything. I'm going, the only difference is I put so much sugar into my body. Maybe I'm all inflamed and my stomach's off or something, I don't know, but I'm blaming it on the sugar. So sticking to your diet is a massive hurdle that many people, not just who are training for fights, but just in life, who want to be in better shape, they struggle with. But when you can maintain your diet, you feel so good. And then you can make weight properly, and then you can win your fights because everything's on point. So really, just sometimes don't do what I did and go, oh, I'm gonna treat myself today and have something which I know is gonna be bad for me. Stand your ground, stick to your guns, and just eat healthy. You're gonna be so much better when you do that. And the last point for today, the last hurdle, which might slow you up and not allow you to get a win when you're fighting, is an improper warm-up. I have talked on the channel many times about the overall fatigue which you feel when you're warming up, and many people don't know about that because coaches generally don't tell you. They don't warn you that your pre-fight warm-up is going to feel like garbage. You're going to feel so tired, and if you understand that, that's great. But also, I've seen so many people not do a proper warm-up and then pay the price because they get in the ring and they're not ready to go. And if you are fighting 3 2-minute rounds or 3 3-minute rounds, you've got to be ready to go right from the bell. So you need a full-length, proper warm-up. And just as I said about one of the other points, and I think it was weight cutting, you need to experiment and find out what works for you. You should do that as well, because some people like half-hour warm-ups, Some people like 40-minute warm-ups. I've seen people warm up for an hour. You know, we're talking about stretching out, doing some light shadow, taking breaks every minute or 2 minutes. Then they do some pads, they do some light sparring. It's kind of like a 1-hour session. And then they take a 10-minute break and they get in the ring and they're raring to go, feeling good. An improper warm-up, either too long or too short, is going to be a hurdle which will slow you down. So get that on point. Every time you fight, you dial in what you're going to do before for that warm-up so that it just becomes scientific. You know exactly what is required and what is going to allow you to perform your best. Take mental notes the next time you're in your pre-fight warm-up and then go, how did I feel in the fight? If you felt great, utilize that same warm-up. If you didn't feel great, make some tweaks and eventually you're going to find what works for you. You have to tell your coach what you want sometimes. Don't let them dictate how you should be feeling. They don't know how you're feeling. You have to communicate, verbalize so that you are in that perfect state to go in there and get that win. And that is that. I've covered everything I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Keep in mind there are more hurdles that can stop you from winning fights, but these are the first 10 that popped into my head, which I have experienced throughout my career. And I just really wanted to help everybody because everybody who tunes in here on my channel is hopefully getting a little leg up from everybody else who's not tuning in. That's my goal. That's what I want on this channel. You come here and you're improving and you're improving. And then hopefully maybe down the road at some point you go, ooh, Gabriel's channel actually really helped me in my fight career, whether it was amateur or professional. And I'm actually getting many messages from people nowadays saying, holy smokes, you helped me so much in my last fight. I got the win. I appreciate it so much. That means the world to me. And I'm so happy to hear that. Guys, remember, if you want to support the channel and you want to help your own body, head over, get some Bioptimizers Magnesium at magnesiumbreakthrough.com/Gabriel. There will be a link in the description down below. Use the promo code Gabriel10 to get 10% off. Hope everybody enjoyed the episode. I appreciate you tuning in. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like. If you haven't already, join the channel and get subscribed. As always, train hard, and I'll see you back here soon for another episode.